guys, and welcome back to Marie's Memoirs. Today, I have an amazing guest. We are going to be deconstructing the different types of things and qualifications and soft skills that are required for being in a technical support role, executive technical support roles. So, without further ado, let me introduce Lionel. Lionel, how are you? Thank you so much for coming.
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me, man. I've been definitely watching your interviews. Definitely great and very insightful. So yeah, man, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
Thank you. Oh no, this is amazing. So I think one of the first questions that I kind of want to ask is, how and why did you get into this field within the technical kind of industry?
So it's kind of funny, right? Because I mean, in university, I studied music technology.
Okay.
And then after I came out of uni, I was obviously, as everybody does, looking for work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've always kind of been very technical, I guess.
Okay.
And I knew that in a 9 to 5, if I was going to get into anything, it would be kind of office-based.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that it was going to be support, if anything. So I kind of just, I literally shot off so many emails and sent off and applied for so many roles, and finally landed on a job that was technical support.
Okay.
So I went into the interview, and not only went into the interview, but done a lot of study around what the job role was, and really interested. And I knew that this is something that I could smash. But not when I got into the role, I was like, yeah, this is definitely something I like. So I kind of just continued into that career path. So it's kind of like God sent in a way.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have been able to know exactly what I wanted to go into. So it kind of just fell on my lap.
Okay. You've mentioned the degree that you did was music technology. With music technology and like technical support, because when I think of technical support, I'm thinking about developers. I'm thinking about you've got level 1 and 2 where you'll call like, hey, my computer's bust or something. How do they interlink? Is it the same thing, or what's the difference?
So there's different levels of somebody who does technical support. You can have those roles where they require you to be more technical in terms of knowing coding. So that would be like your JavaScript, your Python.
Yeah.
So that some roles do require you to have those skills, and some don't. But you can go into a role where they start you at entry level, and then they basically pay for you to have training to gain those skills as well.
Okay, that makes sense. And I seem to be fixed on this music technology. What is actually incorporated if you was to do that? Like, what is that?
So I mean, I'll be able to go into engineering roles, so being in a recording studio.
Okay.
So it could delve into a lot of things. There's so many places where music is involved. So if it's to do with theatre, I could just be an engineer there.
Yeah.
That managing the sound. At the back of the room, where you usually see people with a huge mixing desk.
Yeah.
So there's so many like different aspects where I could have gone into that, and also into film production.
Right. Okay.
Like, basically engineering or mixing the sounds, and yeah.
Okay. No, thanks for clearing that up, because I was just like, do they interlink somehow? But no, that makes sense. What kind of qualifications do you think would greatly assist in this kind of role?
I mean, when you start at technical support, obviously there are entry levels.
Yeah.
There are entry levels which don't actually require any work. not any work, sorry, any qualifications.
No work.
Yeah, so yeah, it don't require any qualifications, but there are some where they require you to have an understanding or knowledge and have qualifications on specific things. So if I was going into cybersecurity,
Right.
I would be required to have some qualifications in that. So it's very if I was to like take your question as an isolated question in terms of my role, is more based on experience than qualifications.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's very broad, because I could say, right, you need this qualification, but that might not apply to another job.
Right. Okay. So when you say entry level, is it usually the case if somebody applies for a position doing technical support as entry level? Is it normal to expect training for them to bring you, for the company to bring you up to speed on where they want you to be?
Yeah, I mean, that happens anywhere, right? So you always receive training on the product, you know, you troubleshooting, and then it more depends on the person's ambitions as well.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that can depend on where they want to go, because, like, you know, the IT world is so broad, and there's so many things that you can actually go into. Managing, in terms of being an architect, and things like that. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah,
it does. So I'm just thinking for like the viewers, if they wanted to get into IT, maybe the better route is to go through an entry level, because then you will get taught the basics, and then you'll understand the basics, and then that will kind of give you more insight of, you know, how you want to progress within, you know, that technical space.
yeah. I mean, for anybody who would regard themselves as, you know, having a technical brain, knowing how to, you know, like, you know, when you go to your family's house and they're having trouble with their internet or website, and then you're there like, okay, just hand me over the laptop and I'll fix it.
Right, let me fix it.
If you're technically savvy like that, then and you know, you would look in for, I don't know, like a new opportunity or to do something new, then yeah, like entry level would be where you would begin. But if you wanted to, you know, kind of start at a base, if you wanted your base rate to be kind of higher or senior, then you would definitely need qualifications and definitely experience as well.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, entry level is usually open to majority, given like you've got a base degree, like a minimum you need a degree or something like that. So you've got the base, but then they will teach you and train you to do what you're supposed to be doing. Then you would kind of go up the rankings that way. And if you do have qualifications and some experience, then you can kind of push the boat out a little bit further by kind of going towards the kind of more senior roles, depending on, of course, you know, your experience and the qualifications that you have.
Exactly, because when I started, you know, in my career, I started at a very entry level position, and that was more routine troubleshooting. Like, you know, the product and the same issues are always gonna arise. Nothing's really gonna be new, if that makes sense. But as I progressed in my career and went into different roles and different job opportunities, I was provided with training. So I remember at one company I worked for, they provided us training into SQL, because they wanted us to be.
SQL. I find that SQL is easier than what's Java. I feel SQL is, for me, it's easier than Java.
Java is easier, to be fair. JavaScript is easy. Like, I'm still kind of getting my head wrapped around it, but it's easier. SQL is more complicated when you have to know how to query the database. It's not such a simple thing.
I'm literally getting a flood of happy but frustrating memories from uni. We did it as a module, and it's very, it can, I think coding is a very love-hate relationship, because when you get it right and you know, like, that comma is doing the crash, you get it. But it's like when you can't put your finger on where the code has gone wrong, that's when hours and hours it gets emotional. So yeah, no, I get it.
And I mean, for developers, it's always you're always learning, because there's new languages that might be introduced to your company. Like your company might your company's whole infrastructure, let's say, could be built on JavaScript, and tomorrow they might say, right, we're gonna change everything to Python or Go, and you're like, right. Okay. So yeah, and obviously these projects are not small projects. They take a lot of time, and sometimes developers like to drag the time on and things like that. But yeah, it happens. So you're always learning. There's never a time where you stop, and there's always better ways of doing things and coding.
Yeah. No, for sure. You mentioned the word products. What does that mean in the technical space? Like if you know your product.
Yeah, so I mean, every company has a product that they, provide. Whether it's a service, that's a product, right?
Yeah.
So it's tangible in the sense, but it's a product that you have to know. So let's say where I am right now, we provide a white label platform for lenders to be able to provide to their merchants. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not trying to lose you.
I'm still here.
in a nutshell, that's our product. So we buy that product, and then any issues that the lender or their merchants may have, we trouble those issues. Okay,
got you. Okay, no, that makes sense. No, thank you for clarifying that. So, what kind of personal kind of soft skills do you think somebody should have in order to be successful or enjoy this kind of career choice?
Well, I would definitely say that you would have to be self-efficient. Self-efficient, ambitious, always willing to learn, because it's not like the IT world is not somewhere where you can hide. Whether you're in a big company or you're in a small company or you're in a startup, it's not where you can hide. You have to be ambitious,
right?
To be technically gifted, because you can only imagine if you're not technically gifted and you're going into a role where you don't know anything about web browsers, you don't know any you're definitely gonna be lost in that world. And
okay. So then what about because the thing that we like with every kind of career that we have, like there's always room for improvement, there's always room for developing your skill set. One thing that comes to mind is like viruses. They are, is that part of the development as well? Because I don't know if there are new types of viruses, viruses mutate all the time. So this is another kind of important aspect. You're constantly learning about viruses as well as your job and your day role. Or how is it managed? Like, is that the kind of development that you're talking about? Is, you'll have your main skill set, what, the core of what your role is, but then in part of that is learning, what's the newest virus, understanding how to troubleshoot that. Like, how does it work?
Okay, so
a team that does it.
So what I mean in terms of being self-efficient and always being ambitious, and like willing to learn. So I can really, if I wanted to, I could remain stagnant in my position right now.
Right.
If that makes sense, in terms of I'm a technical analyst. So I could really remain stagnant in that. But let's say that, you know, I'm saying to myself, right, I want to do more.
Yeah.
I can say, right, okay, what would allow me to, you know, be more efficient and make my team more efficient?
Right,
and
right.
Could that be learning a new code? You know, if I learn a new code, would that enable me to troubleshoot issues independently without having to depend on other teams? Because when you're working for an IT team, there is really structured, or it's supposed to be really structured.
Yeah.
And you have different teams that deal with different things and different services within, you know, the product that you deliver.
Yeah.
So when issues arise that maybe I may not be I will troubleshoot an issue, and let's say this is not an issue that I can fix, then I would have to report this issue to another team, and that team will then, you know, do whatever coding they need to do or do whatever troubleshooting they need to do to fix that issue. But then I can say, you know what, I want to stand out in my position. I'm going to learn what they do. Even though that's not my role, but I'm going to learn what they do so I could be more independent when troubleshooting those isolated issues.
Yeah.
Or errors. Because one of the things that I face a lot in my role is we're always building and deploying new things, right?
Right.
And if you imagine this phone, right, it works, but there's so much information in there, and all this information have to work they have to be in sync with each other.
Yeah.
I now deploy a new piece of data in this phone, and is not in sync with all the other pieces of information.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is something that happens a lot at work. And how can I assist? How can I help? Is by always learning and bettering my knowledge of not only the product, but also, you know, what other teams are doing.
Right.
You know, so if there's a language that I don't know, maybe I should go and teach myself that language, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay, now that makes sense. Because in that type of role, then you should expect that there is constant learning, and there's a lot that you kind of need to get to grips with. And then if you want to excel, then it's kind of doing more, but then looking at different ways technically that you can assist your team for more efficiency. And then, of course, when you're doing little things like that, then management will see, your team will be like, hey, you know, you're doing a great job. And then it's kind of like somewhere along the lines, hopefully a promotion, because you'll be recognized for the extra work that you're doing and contributing to the company as well as your immediate team as well. So no, that makes sense.
It translates obviously into your pay as well, but that shouldn't be the core focus. The core focus is you should enjoy what you do, first of all, and that would definitely be beneficial to other things that you do within your role.
Yeah,
you wouldn't find it strenuous to do certain bits. You would be like, hey, yeah, I'll do that because I enjoy what I do.
Yeah. No, that's good. What would you say are your favorite aspects of the role, of your current role?
I think the customer satisfaction and like always when you learn something new, and you're like, and then you implement that for the first time when an issue comes.
Yeah.
And you fixed it with so much ease, and you remember a time when, hey, the same issue came to you and you were stuck for hours.
Right.
Because like the thing is, in my role, we have so many issues and tickets that come in. So I like there's a client that I manage, and I think I get like 100+ tickets a week.
Oh.
For that client, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's crazy. And you can imagine, obviously, you get some tickets where it's you know, yeah. I mean, the issue is very small. It's not really high priority. But then you get those high priority tickets where you're reading something, and the first thing is they are not even making any sense in the email that they've just, and you just have to really try and understand. And then you ask questions, right? You ask questions to understand exactly what's going on. And then it's almost like the response that you get from your questions, like, don't ask me questions, just fix my issue.
Oh.
I don't actually understand what you're going through, you know? So you have those things, but then you have also, you know, big issues where it requires a lot of resources. It requires breaking down different elements, but also knowing what team to report it to. So you can only imagine if you're in a company that has 4,000 employees and there's like, I don't know, 50 different departments, and then you have to know exactly where to report this issue. Is right? And I mean, I work for a startup company, so there's not a lot of documentation and
of processes and
things like that. So you really just have to be self-efficient and know what you're doing. So when we're talking about self-learning, it's very key.
That sounds important, and I think it's definitely key. That goes into your personal life as well, is always making sure that we make the time, like within our careers, make the time to develop ourselves within that, but also externally in our personal lives, making sure that we're continuing to develop ourselves and our skills and our mindset as well. Now that's quite key, like you just said. What kind of advice would you give to someone who is currently considering this career choice? Say, you know, they could be a Unilever or looking to switch over careers. Like, what would be the top main 3 things that you would say, you know, if someone considering this, maybe this is something to think about?
I mean, I would definitely say be confident. Don't kick yourself in the foot, especially if you go into an entry role and you know there's other people that may seem more talented or skilled than you. I've definitely been in that position, but you have to, you know, trust the process. Know that, you know, not everybody learns at the same rate. And you just have to kind of trust your own ability. Right. You know, and yeah, I mean, don't be so scared. The thing about IT roles, especially some entry level ones, when you read the job descriptions, it can sound very, very scary.
Oh,
you know?
Yes. Yes, I think that's done on purpose across the corporate board, so that time wasters just don't even try. Yes. I've seen that.
Is that half of those things that they put on those job descriptions you don't even do. You don't do it, and it's just like, don't let those job descriptions kind of like, you know, where you just pass those roles over and you're like, I'm not gonna.
Right.
IT is a beautiful place, and not only for men, but it's also for women. Like, there's so many companies who look for women who do coding, because it's very saturated by men.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was another thing that I was gonna mention. Like, is the market itself saturated? And then on top of that, like, what kind of percentage of women are in the technical industry? I know it's a very low number.
My company's 1. There's only actually, no, sorry. There's 3.
3 out of
everybody else.
So how many? So say you've got like 30 employees. Would it be 2 out of 30 or?
think as developers and technical analysts, there's probably about 40 of us.
Okay. Well, thanks for bringing perspective to that.
Yeah, the majority of the company is based around developers, analysts, and stuff like that. So yeah, there's probably 40 of us, and out of 40, you got 3 females.
Right. Do you find that companies are starting to specifically, not to be sexist, but they kind of want more women in tech to kind of like represent and be within their companies? Do you feel that that's something that more IT businesses are trying to do?
I believe that there is an agenda to do that.
Yeah.
An agenda to do that, but as well, you need them to show up. Like, you know, if and you're putting it there, if they don't present themselves, you can't really go and find them, can you? So if they're not, if males are the ones that are always presenting themselves, then
So with that being said, because I've been part of the IT industry within the corporate world as well in financials, what would you say to encourage a woman who's thinking about going into this kind of career, or you know, her daughter is thinking about it? What would you advise them? Because you've given us so much things to think about. How would you encourage a woman that wants to be in that environment but is a little bit like kind of saturated by men only, like a little bit of encouragement, like, hey, you know, let's what would you say?
No, you know what I'll say? I'll say this: the IT world or the environment is very geeky.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where you just have to be confident in yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, at the same time, very, I don't know. I don't know if the best thing to say is just be on banter, because
be on banter. Laugh at corny jokes.
Because the thing is, you can be in a corporate company, but then once you walk into the IT department, the corporate company that you work for and its IT department could be worlds apart in terms of the atmosphere that they set.
Right. Yeah.
That's something that I would definitely say, that the IT world is, I always look at it as very light-hearted. Work there. I've never gone into a company who deals with IT and it's just been boring. You know, and probably that's why the IT sector is kind of thriving. It's not what it used to be back in the day. Like, people used to think that it was just boring roles, and you know, like, it's just somebody sitting on top of sitting next to a computer, and they're just, you know,
like literally in the just, you know, like that little cat, like just in the keyboard, like just angry, just typing away all day.
It's really not that. It's fun, and you know, yeah. I don't know. There's definitely a culture, this atmosphere, and a lot of IT companies always try to implement this culture that you kind of have in America, if that makes sense. You know, and yeah, I mean, we get great benefits as well.
Yeah.
You know? I one of my benefits is just having unlimited leave, which is unheard of.
Wait, what? How? Okay, no. How does that work? I feel like that's a whole other conversation, and we're about to wrap up. But okay, well, we will keep.
That's just saying, like, the kind of amazing things that happen in the IT world. Like, yeah, I don't know, but somebody might say that's nothing, but to me, I consider that as like crazy. But yeah.
That is, considering some companies will give you like 23 days for the year, you know, that's, well, at least we know that the benefits of working with a good IT company, they will look after you. No, but I definitely hear what you're saying about just making sure that you show up, you have confidence in your own abilities, and just continuing to be true to what you like and what your passion is. and just making sure that, you know, that there is a space for you. And as for a woman, there is a space for us in the IT community. We just, when we show up, we just do our best and we'll see what happens. So no, thank you for that.
Like I said, just be lighthearted, because like when I have discussions, you know, with other females, there's one discussion that I had with a female at my work, and she just said, you know, being in such a male dominated organ, I didn't want to use dominated because I don't want Twitter to come after me.
No. We get what you mean. I get what you mean.
She's just been so lighthearted, and she's obviously seen other females struggle because they can't sometimes deal with the banter, and it's almost like, just imagine if it was just female orientated or female dominated, there will definitely be an atmosphere. So it's not me saying, you know, don't be who you are, but, you know, come in these places and be yourself, but also that, hey, like, you know, there's gonna be banter, it's gonna be lighthearted, not everything is to be taken so seriously. And as you're doing your work, and as long as you're excelling in what you're doing, you're never gonna really find issues, kind of thing. Yeah, there's issues everywhere, to be fair, but
literally where there's people, there are challenges, period. Like, that's just how it works. But no, that's important. When you was talking about like office banter just now, my old team, it was literally in our global team, it was me and one other female, and we are positioned in Europe, Asia, and EMEA, which is like, you know, like Europe and America as well. So then out of the whole global team, it was only 2 women that were in the team, and the team was probably like, say, more than 40 of us. But that's one thing that I did pride myself on, is that I'm the only female in my EMEA team for the Europe, and I did it well. I did my role well, and I loved it. I mean, they did move the position to India, so the whole team kind of got dispersed in that manner, but it was kind of a sense of pride as a woman, being in that male, heavily it's just men everywhere, and being able to be like, you know what, no, I have a seat here, and being able to, you know, because I even got sent to Germany to manage my team over there for 2 weeks. Now, my age at the time I was in my 20s, and I'm managing people that are in their 50s. So it's kind of like, when you work efficiently and you show up, you're determined, you get it done, and you just continue to work on yourself, doors will open, they will fling open. So yeah, and there definitely is, once we get there, it's definitely a sense of pride, like, yes, I've finally got my seat here, thank you very much. And then you continue to be and do the best that you can do and be. So yeah, no, that's definitely important. So thank you for that. I think in closing, I just want to kind of check in. So we're talking about like the IT world. We know how strenuous and it can get, and how pressureful it can be. What do you do in your spare time? Like, I know that some people will do creative things, or creating databases, or gaming, or what kind of things do you do in your spare time? This is a off-the-cuff question before we close.
Really that nerdy. My nerdiness kind of stops at work. So okay. I would like to assume so, but yeah, when I'm at home, I spend time with my family. I have kids, I have a wife, you know, so
yeah.
We like to like something that we definitely picked up during the pandemic is just cooking together.
Yeah, love that.
And on another aspect, I have aspirations and a hobby of, you know, being the best music producer in the whole world.
Okay. So yes, love that. Love that energy.
You know, so that's something that I do on the side as well. I do a bit of that, yeah.
Okay, I've got another question, just a really quick one. Is it easy for your IT work to spill over into your personal life? how do you balance that? Or are you able to kind of switch off? Because I know some people struggle with that, but do you ever have to take work home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes and no. Let's when I was going into the office, I'm leaving my house probably around 7 a.m. in the morning and getting back home probably 9:30, 10 p.m.
Wow. Okay.
And those days are days where, there's a lot of P1s that have happened. So P1 is
priority one. Isn't that the worst one?
You must put all pens down.
Yes. We had those.
Give updates every 10 minutes, and if it landed on your queue, if it lands on your queue, you're basically stressed.
Yeah, that's literally you for the day until it's resolved.
Exactly. So, but the good thing is, especially if you're in a company which allows you to have certain apps also on your phone.
Yeah.
Great. So basically everything that I have on my laptop, I have it on my phone.
Right.
I can literally work from my phone, which is amazing. I can't do troubleshooting from my phone, but I can respond to emails, respond, and little things like that. So yeah, those are, I guess those are benefits, and our I don't know, ticketing system, I have access to that on my phone as well. So
okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that for me. I was kind of like, oh, how does he manage that? Okay, no, that's amazing. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to join me here and just discuss all things technical support. Thank you so much, and I will speak to you soon. I hope everyone's enjoyed today.
That's cool. Definitely enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you again for inviting me. It's been a pleasure, and it's been a good conversation.
You're welcome. I'll speak to you soon.
Marie's Memoirs.